Hi, everyone. It's Tammy with Aortic Hope. I'm here today to do our live. I'm really happy to see everyone and be here. Before we start, we always have to remind you to like and subscribe. Click the bell down there so that you'll always know when we're live and you can catch up with what's happening, whether it's an interview or we're just going over the blog for the week or some crazy ladies' night out, whatever we're doing. We don't want you to miss it. So we're going to go and start right here with Medical Monday. Well, wait a minute. Why does it say Scientific Sunday?
Click
Okay,
on your
well,
all the way left tab. You're just
okay.
highlighted on the Sunday. Don't close it. Don't
Okay.
close it. Yeah,
Oh,
just
okay.
there
There
you
we
go.
go. Okay, I'm sorry. There we go. See, I'm an amateur here, but Josh is helping me. So it's Medical Monday. So many in the community have difficulty remembering things. However, taking medication and your blood pressure are two really important things. They should just be a part of your daily routine. And if your physician recommends that you take your blood pressure, are you sure you're doing it correctly? So Medical Monday was all about taking your blood pressure. And measuring your blood pressure is the only way to know whether you have high blood pressure. High blood pressure usually has no warning signs or symptoms, and many people do not know they have it. So here was a checklist that you want to look at. I can't say that I do all these things. I can't say that I always pay attention whether I've had anything to eat or drink 30 minutes before taking my blood pressure. I don't always go to the bathroom, but apparently that's important. I do sit in the chair and I do wait a few minutes, like to calm down, to get ready to take it. I do make sure both of my feet are on the floor, and I knew that it was important not to have your legs crossed. I always rest my arm up on the side of my chair. I usually sit in a recliner that has this big puffy thing on the side. And a lot of times I will take my arm all the way out of my sleeve if I can't push it up all the way, because I do know that that's important, that the pressure cuff is right next to your skin and not too tight, not too loose. And their cuffs do come in different sizes. There's a small, medium, large, and it tells you on the box how to know what size to buy. And you're not supposed to talk while you're taking your blood pressure. And then what's really important is to make sure that you're using a blood pressure cuff that has been validated. And there's a link there that you can validate to find out if your blood pressure cuff that you're using is validated. All the Omrons are. So if you're using an Omron, you're good. And it's really important to log and track your blood pressure so that you can see patterns. That's what your doctor is looking for, is patterns. I just saw a whole thread on our Facebook page the other day about people asking about when to take their blood pressure, because they were noticing patterns, when to take their blood pressure medication, because from taking their blood pressure and keeping a log of the readings, they were noticing patterns. And they were going to talk to their doctor about maybe taking half of their medication in the morning and the other half at night, or maybe changing the medication altogether. But that's how you will see patterns, and that will give you the information that you need to discuss with your doctor. If you have one of the latest, and it's really not the latest, but they've been around for years, the blood pressure cuff that will link right to your smartphone. And you don't have to do anything except have your smartphone nearby. And you can even put notes in there like, ask doctor about this. Is this a good blood pressure? Look at this pattern. So it's a great place to take notes. And there's some more information there from the CDC if you want to go down and take a look. What the CDC says, but we've also included some forms if you don't have a smartphone or a way to log it into your phone. If you would like to go back to paper and pencil, we have listed some forms there that you can just print off. So there's just a little reminder of how to take your blood pressure every day. I find it's a good thing. I keep it next to a recliner that my husband sits in. There's a little table next to it. It's out of the way. But I see it, it's still out, and it reminds me, oh, I need to take my blood pressure sometime today. Sometimes I only take it once a week, but look for patterns. When it's the same every day, you don't need to worry too much. So let's go on
Hold
to
on, hold on.
topic.
Molly says, "Hi, Tammy."
Hey, Molly. I'm so happy to see you. I think you have a birthday coming up. I don't know
Oh,
why I know that, but I
that's
think you
awesome.
do. Okay, take your blood pressure, Molly. Okay, topic Tuesday. So this is always an interesting topic about the aneurysms. There's a lot of information on our Facebook page about aneurysm, a lot of discussions about aneurysm, a lot of discussion about how to know when it's time to have surgery based on the size of your aneurysm, and why am I having surgery but this other person is not having surgery yet. And what I have found, we'll look at this article, but what we have found is that it really depends on the rate of growth and your body size and height, how tall you are. It makes a huge difference in the decision making for the surgery. So it's important to know exactly what an aneurysm is. And it's an abnormal balloon-like bulge that forms in the walls of the artery, and they are known to be silent killers. Um, so there is an article here that you can read. I'm just going to go over some of the main points. Um, it's important to know that an aneurysm can either be a thoracic aneurysm, which is in your chest, or an abdominal aneurysm that can be below your chest in your abdomen. Um, an, uh, an, a thoracic aneurysm is much more significant, um, and usually needs repaired much sooner than a abdominal aneurysm. Abdominal is not necessary, and an aneurysm in itself is not considered a medical emergency, but you do need to be monitored. It needs to be measured for growth and changed, because it could rupture if you just ignore it, if you find out about it and you don't follow up on it. But under a doctor's care and medically managed, people can survive with an aneurysm for years and years and years. I do know that Medicare will cover a screening for thoracic. No, they will cover a screening for abdominal aortic aneurysms right now if you're at risk. They aren't doing screenings for the thoracic because apparently they feel like thoracic aneurysms are so few and far between, that they're not covering those right now. But that's something that you definitely would want to talk to your doctor about. And then if you do have an aneurysm and you're being monitored, you're being followed, you would need to call your doctor and report anything like if you're seeing a pattern of heart palpitations, if you're dizzy a lot, episodes of fainting, nausea can be significant if you have an aneurysm. Shortness of breath obviously would be concerned, but feeling like clammy and sweaty, or having severe pain anywhere in your arms, down your legs, anything, chest, obviously. But there's a really great article that's attached to this in the blog that you might want to go read if you are dealing with an aneurysm, whether it's thoracic or aortic, thoracic or abdominal. There's a lot to know about as far as being followed. I know I have an abdominal aneurysm, so I get a CAT scan once a year right now with contrast, and I also get the echocardiogram once a year. So it's set up that one happens at one time, and 6 months later the next one happens, and then 6 months later the next one happens. So every 6 months I'm being followed for that aneurysm. Okay.
Nope, hold on. Let's take a second to catch up to some chat.
This
So Molly says she loves her MicroLife blood pressure monitor. She got it at Costco and she brings it with her to her appointment so she can get it calibrated.
Yes, good idea.
Her response to the birthday was March 26th. So it just happened.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so it just happened. So I don't know how I knew that, but I did.
Yeah, and also her
So
anniversary was in the same week.
that's right. That's right.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I asked her, does it have an app? And she said, yep, links to your phone or device, Bluetooth. You can upload the readings and
Wow.
email them straight to your doctor.
And what's the name of that one again?
She called it a microlife.
Microlife. Huh, I'll have to look for that one.
Yep. And
Thanks
let's
for the
say hi
heads
to
up on
Felicia.
that. Hi, Felicia. So happy there's people here today.
Wonderful.
Or either one of you followed for aneurysms?
Well, remember, there's going to be a 10, 15,
Oh,
20-second delay. We'll get back to it. Okay.
okay.
Carry on.
Okay. Okay, we're going on to National Doctors Day. This was a fun post on the Facebook page because we were able to call out all of our doctors that have saved our lives. So, but these are some ways you really can thank your physician and recognize them. Many times managers are aware of the complaints, but not aware of the praise. Make sure your manager hears your positive stories. So the people in the office, tell them your positive stories. Send a card or email, and thank them. Again, they usually only hear the complaints. So just if you are going into a facility that you enjoy going into, you feel welcome, you feel relaxed when you go in, let them know what they're doing right. Um, Donate or send a meal to the doctor or the staff, cookies. I would think it would be something heart healthy. But a snack, I know, is always appreciated. A care package that they can pamper themselves, flowers to brighten up the office. Volunteer, ask if there's something you can do in the office to help. And just a simple thank you. And I do want to add on here one of the ideas that we've thrown around on these doctors' days, or anytime you have an appointment with your doctor, go to the Aortic Hope Shops, go to our Hope Shops and order something fun. Wear an Aortic Hope shirt or sweatshirt or zippered hoodie, and to start a conversation, buy one for your doctor. You know, that's great. There's also a lot of different swag in there. You can buy them a coffee cup, you could buy them a water mug. There's so many different things. We also have magnets that you can put on your car or take to your doctor. So go to the Hope Shops and take a look. There's lots of fun things there. Lots of good ways to thank your doctor. Okay, anybody out there have a fun way that they recognize their doctors at all? Take your doctors a present once in a while. I've taken my doctor both of my doctors, I've taken the t-shirts to them, and they seem to like that.
That's pretty cool.
Okay.
All right, hold on. So Molly was circling back when I asked about the blood pressure cuff, what that calibration experience is like.
Okay.
She says they take your pressure with their cuff, and then they take it with the one that you own. And so far, hers is spot on. But if there's a
Okay,
big
good.
difference, you would contact the maker of the device,
Hmm,
right?
good to know.
And so then I
I know.
asked, how often do you get it calibrated? And I'm not sure if she was saying yes annually for her scans or annually for the calibration, but I think
Okay.
both Felicia and Molly are saying yes to getting an
Yeah.
aneurysm followed up with.
I I forgot all about taking it in to be calibrated. I did that in the very beginning when I was like so worried about everything. But I'm 4 years in now, so it wouldn't be a bad idea to go back in and have it calibrated again and do it every once in a while. So thanks for that reminder. Maybe we should make that one of our posts
Right?
as a reminder.
How new
Um,
are these Bluetooth connected? Has that been going on for a while?
um, I've had I had mine before I had the aortic dissection, and I'm going to say mine's about 8 years old.
With the Bluetooth
And yeah,
connection to print
yeah,
everything?
with the Bluetooth, yeah, with the
Hmm,
Bluetooth connection, and
super interesting.
It works really well, and I love it because you can either print it out from your phone, you can print it and take it to your doctor. You can email it. You can email the whole thing to your doctor.
Hmm.
You can also set it up that if your doctor wants it downloaded once a week, I know the one I have, like, you can set it up that it just emails to them once a week if they really want to follow you that closely.
Nice.
So yeah, there's a lot of different things. The only thing that I have learned in the community and from talking to doctors and going to the different conferences is the wrist blood pressure cuffs are not considered accurate at all.
Okay. So
You
even
want
like
the
on an Apple Watch or like a Samsung Watch or anything
Yeah,
like that.
yeah,
Okay.
that's it's a good thing to to pay attention to. But if you have any questions, you really need to do the blood pressure cuff on your arm, not the wrist one.
Okay.
So I
That's
know
good to know.
I've never been in a doctor's office that they use the wrist one either.
Okay.
So okay, topic near and dear to my heart, mental health. Feel Good Friday. So we had Feel Good Friday and wanted to talk about mental health and the challenges as survivors and caregivers. Um, so I've had some mental health things lately. I thought I was doing really good. I was doing really well. And I apparently had a silent panic attack. Um, and then when I tried to go find a therapist in my area, I couldn't find anybody that would work with me unless when I said the word trauma or I said that I was looking for panic, for anxiety kinds of things. They wanted to group me in either domestic violence, and I would say no, childhood trauma, and I would say no, or like a sexual assault kind of thing. And when I would say no, they would say, oh, we don't have anybody here that can help you. Um, then I also started hearing about something called somatic therapy, which is body and mind, but they're very few and far between. So I called a friend of mine who is a social worker, and I asked her if that's just the latest buzzword is somatic therapy. And she said sort of, but she said it's also a style, kind of like talk therapy, but they add more to it. Uh, it's kind of a combination of mindfulness and therapy. Couldn't find anybody around where I live that was doing that. So I did make an appointment with somebody at one of the offices. Finally, I got a phone call back, and when I went in and spoke to the girl, she couldn't have been all more than 24 years old. She just kept saying to me, "Well, I'm going to be a safe place for you to talk." And I kept saying, I have safe places to talk. I want to know what you're going to do for me for always being on guard. How can I move on from some of the challenges that I'm having? What tools can you give me? And she couldn't answer me, so I didn't go back to her. But I did talk to somebody in the community. I spoke to John Quick, um, and he was wonderful. And I do believe he comes to some of the support groups. Is that right, Josh?
Yeah, he
That
makes
John.
the noon ones when he can.
Okay, so he was very helpful to me, and I think one of the biggest things he said to me, says a takeaway, was that uh, I didn't recognize how much I didn't trust my body anymore. Like I thought I knew my body. I knew what my limitations were. I knew what I could do, what I couldn't do. And when he said that, I thought, I think you're onto something with that. So I've spent some time thinking about that. But let's look at some of the things that you can do um, to deal with different events. So obviously talking, I realized in the very beginning that you have to surround yourself with positive people, non-judgmental people, people that will give you some grace when you're not having your best day. Um, Connecting um, with family and friends, your values. Think about what's important to you and what that means to you. Um, Writing down your thoughts on paper can identify when you're having some unhelpful thinking styles. So if you turned into an Eeyore, and you think everything's terrible, and you write down your thoughts for the day, and everything is, really sad, and I would think that that would be a, a wake up call for you. Relaxation, we all know that you need to take time for yourself, but that looks, for some people, relaxation is being in a loud, crowded space with a lot of people and lots of music. For other people, it has to be time away. So relaxation, I have found, looks different for different people. Exercise, obviously, for me, exercising outside makes a huge difference. I really have noticed it doesn't matter if I'm alone or with somebody else, but as long as I can do it outside, I feel better. Mindfulness, Aortic Hope just sponsored an 8-week mindfulness course, and it was wonderful. I gained so much from it. I really added to some of the tricks that I can use for myself, for falling asleep, for getting ready to go to a doctor's appointment, just for a stressful day. I was telling Josh earlier, the last 2 weeks have been nothing but doctor's appointments for me, and I was really kind of hitting a wall with that. I was like, I just felt like that's all my life had become, was doctor's appointments. But if you take a step back and use some of the mindfulness techniques that we've learned in these classes, it makes a huge difference. I also like my Calm app. I use my Calm app a lot. I used to pay for it, but even the free stuff now is just fine. Strengths, identifying and working towards your strengths. So finding out what works for you, it really takes a lot of looking inward. I know people tell me all the time that I need to journal, and as much as I love to write and I love to read, journaling doesn't seem like the thing for me. So you have to know what works for you. Problem solve, like when I've been feeling overwhelmed with my doctor's appointments, one of the tricks that I used was um, I would take a highlighter and highlight the last week on my paper calendar. I would just highlight that whole last week of the month, and I would not, for, uh, unless I absolutely had to, I would not schedule any doctor's appointments during that last week, because I needed to know that I had a week break mentally and physically. And by doing that, I was worried that I would make people mad at me. Like, when the doctor's office calls and says, Mrs. Warner, we need you to come in, blah, blah, blah. And I say, oh, that date doesn't work for me. Nobody batted an eye. They just went on to the next date. So I didn't seem to be the problem that I thought it was going to be. So that was one way I problem solved feeling overwhelmed. And challenging thoughts, negative thoughts, negative thought patterns aren't good for anybody. It is work to be optimistic. It is work to think of things in different ways. Even thinking about, I was with somebody the other day who said, I know she had spinal stenosis and she was always in pain with her back, and she can't walk anymore without one of those rollating walkers or whatever. And we were talking, and then she said, but I would keep my same problems. I would never take your problems. And I didn't want her problems. So really, a lot of times it's just perspective about life. So, but be aware of your thoughts. They really can make a difference in your attitude and in your actions. So, but living in fear can do further damage to your aorta. So try to avoid unnecessary stress and worry. One of the other tricks that I find with worry is, I know that they have a terrible time getting my veins. So anytime I have to, and I only have one arm because of lymphedema in this arm. So when I know that I'm coming up on an appointment that's going to require needles, some kind of stick, I don't allow myself to really worry and ruminate on it until 24 hours ahead of time. So if it comes up into my head, I'm like, oh, Tammy, that's 2 weeks away. Not allowed to think about that right now. And with enough practice, I've been able to push that out of my head. It comes back, and I just say, you're allowed to worry, but not right now. And that has worked for me. Then they added some positive mental health toolkit. So same kind of thing, be kind to yourself, develop some of those coping strategies, talk to other people, what works for them, see what you can adapt into your life. Being flexible and accurate in your thinking skills. You know, I know I had a pap smear came back bad like 2 weeks ago, and I had to go have it done again. And the thinking skills there. I tried to be accurate in my thinking of, we don't know if it's cancer or not. Okay, so you've had cancer before. We don't know. So I didn't let myself go. I tried to stay accurate with my thought process, if that makes sense. Building self-awareness, what works for you, what doesn't. Noticing the good things in life, like one of the good things for me is I've had my mom takes me, if my husband can't take me, my mom takes me to every appointment. So I get to spend some quality time with my mom. We usually go to lunch afterwards. And problem solving. Um, kind of like I told you, some of the coping skills have been my problem solving skills, and they've worked for me. Uh, 9 things to schedule into your week to help you with your mental health. So the mindfulness, I usually do mine either first thing in the morning when I wake up before I get out of bed. I'll just lay there for a few more minutes, think about my day, what kind of attitude I'm going to have. Do I need an attitude adjustment before I go to my doctor's appointment? The breathing, I do a lot of my calm breathing. I have a trick that I use with my hand where nobody can notice, and I just make my, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. And I just use my hand when I really need to do some breathing exercises. Um, this is where the journaling comes in, the 3 good things. I've had a lot of people that I know will journal this like before you go to bed at night or first thing in the morning. 3 good things that you expect to happen or did happen that day, or 3 things that you want to achieve. Um, Rest and recovery. Like, resting is not doing nothing. Resting is recovery. And whether it's you're mentally recovering or you're physically recovering or both, it's really important to recognize that downtime is not being lazy. We've talked a lot about that in our in on the threads on our Facebook page. Activities that are important to you. This, I want to say in this one, also in activities that are not important to you, it's okay to say no to. So I've been learning to say no to things, but really engage in activities that are meaningful to you. Create lunch dates, create Facebook time with somebody, a FaceTime meeting with them. Um, Make time for those art things that you've never been able to get to do. So take time for those activities. Talking with others, obviously that's self-explanatory. The exercise we've already talked to about. Me time. Just going for a walk. I know right outside my back door I have a walking trail that goes in a complete circle around a pond, and so sometimes I'll just walk that trail. And then supporting others, which is what our group is all about. It's amazing when you talk to somebody and they can help you put things in perspective, but then something you can say can put things into perspective for them. So I hope this has given you some ideas. Mental health, I think it's something that is very much overlooked by the doctors. I think doctors are getting better about it. I know if you're like me, you don't want to burden your family about what you're thinking, or always talking about what's going on with your doctor's appointments or your medication or questions you have or concerns you have. But you'll be able to figure out who wants to honestly hear what's happening with you. So, and you can always attend our support groups. We have, I think there's like 4 different support groups that happen over the month. um, there's the support groups for the caregivers. And now we have the support group for, there's like no agenda or anything. What's it called?
Oh, it's the Thursdays Aorta Hangouts.
Aorta Hangout. Okay, I
Yeah,
couldn't get
and
the,
it seems like the rule is good news or no news is what it seems
okay,
like. So it's like
okay. Yeah,
no lamenting, no dragging the party down, but
yeah, good stuff.
this past week everybody came back with jokes to tell, right?
That's
And
funny.
so they were just like googling jokes, which I thought was pretty hilarious. They were like just like googling them right away. And they were like, all
Well,
right,
that's
Josh,
a
it's your turn. And I was like, okay, well, a non-dirty joke. And that's where I got
okay.
stuck, right? Because I mean, I can't even remember the last time I told a clean joke. And so everybody was like, you know what? I say go for it. Tell us the dirty joke. And so I had memorized this joke from like childhood. It's been with me for 30 something years. And so I tell this joke, and what's funny is like I know the punchline and it shouldn't hit the way it does, but it hits so hard every single time. It's such a good joke.
That's fun.
Yeah, so
That's
that
fun.
was pretty good. That was pretty good.
Okay. So I knew there wasn't any topic and it was just a fun time to get together and kind of boost everybody up. So,
Well, also
oh,
we're using it to because this isn't going to be a forever thing. Right now, what we're doing is we're offering it every Thursday for I want to say till sometime in June. But the
okay.
idea here is we're also looking at, how often and which week of which of these Thursdays, like is it the first,
It's
second,
working.
third? Yeah, which one are we getting the most response out of? And I don't know. There's a part of me that thinks that we could have a regular ongoing, just kind of like meet and greet, just an open meet and greet, open chat, weekly. And I don't know if Thursday is the best day for it. You know what I mean? But
Right.
so far we've had such good responses, right? And for some of the people that are a bit shy about going to the support groups, and I get it. Like
Oh,
we
okay.
hear a lot of feedback from we call them lurkers. They show up. They might message the moderator to let them know that they just want to watch. They don't really want to interact. And another wonderful benefit is when the caregivers show up to the regular support groups and they kind of scout for their patient, for their loved one. And
Oh.
so they'll be in for 2 or 3 meetings, and then they'll just keep egging their survivor to come listen to these other stories, you know.
Okay.
And so sometimes they'll be sitting side by side, and the caregiver's just kind of like, no, I'm just you do whatever you're doing. I'm just gonna put it on next to you. But
I love
even
it.
inside of the caregiver, like when you were back on the mental health thing, watching people who are in an when we talk about like their immediate circles, we're talking about that like not just the family and the friend circles, but like that extended circle when nobody else that you have talked to is experiencing or has experienced what you've gone through. It's alienating, it's isolating, and it's even with a survivor and a caregiver, it's two different stories, it is two different campaigns. And
Hmm.
so a
That's
lot of the
true.
phenomenon
I
is the
think
same.
Molly, when we came out to see you, I think you said that we were the first ones that you had met in person that
Hmm.
had dissected and survived. So
And you guys got
that
to
was,
meet Brian Brantley.
and Brian, yes, he had met one other person. Um, but I feel like Molly said she hadn't met anybody. So that was a fun meeting. So,
Yeah, and Molly chimes in.
okay,
She says, Aorta Hangout tries to avoid talking about our aortic medical issues. We keep it light and fun.
perfect. Okay, we're on to, let me put my glasses on. It was a memorial story of Randall Horn, told by his fiance. And this is one of those part of the survivor stories, but this was a memorial story. Um, and again, it was somebody who was appeared to have been misdiagnosed, which it was interesting to me. Like 6 weeks before, he had had some CT scans because he was having pain. But this is a really heartfelt, well-written story. And she ends it by saying that the big lesson that she would like for everybody to take away from this is that you have to advocate for yourself. And if you're not getting answers from that doctor, from that facility, you go and you get a second opinion and you keep knocking on doors and you keep making phone calls. She feels like her fiance would still be here today if he had advocated a little bit more for himself. I know he checked himself out of the hospital because he felt like nobody was listening to him, nobody was understanding, and they were giving him information that he knew whatever they were diagnosing him with, he knew that that wasn't what it was. Um, so it's a really heartfelt story that she has told here. I hope everybody takes the time to listen to it. Okay,
Yeah, that's
on
a
to,
heartbreaker.
yes, it was a heartbreaker. The misdiagnosis is so hard to take. Scientific Sunday. So I'm not going to go into too much here, um, because we have Ryan is going to start doing a Genetics 101 blog series for us. But what he did here was he gave us the background of what we needed to know about genetics, and introduced himself. There was a lot of, not a lot, but there was some new terminology in here for me. Um, as far as genetics goes and some of the new things that are happening. I think one of the things that's surprising to people when they have the genetic testing um, completed and it comes back and it shows that they did not identify anything, they think that means that there's nothing genetically predisposed for their dissection or for their aortic disease. And that's not true at all. It just means that of the genetics we know today, that we're not finding anything. So it's really important to be tested about every 5 years. And you stay on your cardiologist about that. Keep track of it. They don't always keep track of it. The other thing that's very interesting in this article is he does a great job of explaining that you can be the number one person, you can be the start of the genetic disorder. You could be ground zero. And when that happens, your siblings are usually, you know, out of, can be out of the clear. I think they have a 50-50 chance, or your children have a 50-50 chance. I'm not sure which one. I know your children have a 50-50 chance, but it's not as much of a concern for your siblings and your parents if you were, square one, the beginning of the aortic disease, the genetics in that. So be on the lookout for Ryan Rodimer's genetics series. It's going to be really interesting. But take a look through this article and look at some of the become familiar with some of the terminology that's in here. He does a great job of spelling it all out for you. Genetics is very, very interesting. So that is it. We have coming up this week, we have the Aorta Hangout on Thursday. Do we have any Survivor Series coming up, Josh? Do you know, on Saturday?
Not to my knowledge. I
Not
had
this
a
one.
recording get rescheduled last week, last
Okay.
minute.
Yeah, I always
And I was
look
looking
forward to
forward to
those.
that one. Let's
I
see
was
here. We have our support group tomorrow at noon
okay.
Eastern, noon Eastern.
And is that with Tim O'Reilly at noon?
No. That's Melissa.
He does the evening
Yeah,
ones.
Tim does the evening ones. Yeah,
Okay.
Melissa.
Melissa.
She's our morning. And then
Okay.
our already hangout again is at 2 o'clock Eastern on Thursday.
Okay.
And Molly
Okay,
said yes. I
everyone.
loved having the four of us together.
It was so much fun. It was so much fun to meet Molly in person. It was a lot of
I
fun.
bet she is. She's so
So,
great. She says,
yeah,
"You three were
she's a
the
lot.
only dissections I have met, and all three of us
Okay,
had the
that's what I,
same type of dissection."
yes. Yep. And she has an amazing story. Molly has an
I
amazing
know.
story.
And when she
Yeah.
finally buckles down and lets me capture it, I will
You
be
got to
so
do the
happy.
tell this.
And here's the thing, right?
Yes.
Like I like of all of the people normally I'm happy with them just telling the campfire tales. I want her like on a GoPro, like walking me through the alley, like and
Yeah.
right
Yeah.
here.
That would be
And then
great.
I know, right? Because
Molly,
she's
you could
such a character. Oh, I love her.
Molly, you could interview the people that were standing there that thought you were like on a 3-day drunk or something. Yeah, you could go find those men and interview them. I remember you telling me you went back and found them, or recognized them one day, and their take of the situation was completely different than what was actually happening. So
Right.
that was an interesting part of the story to me.
Yeah,
So
she tells it so well too. Oh, she's so
yeah.
good at it.
Okay. Well, that's it for me today.
All right.
Go to the Hope shops and order some swag for your doctors. You can still take your doctors, take him or her a gift for your next appointment. Order some swag. There's also the help belts are on there. It's traveling season. Everybody's getting in their cars and going somewhere. So order yourself a help belt. It can just say medical alert, or it can say thoracic aneurysm, aortic dissection. There's lots of things to choose from there. Go get yourself some t-shirts for summer so you can start a conversation on the beach with
we
people.
have a new shop.
Oh, we do have a new shop.
Yeah, go ahead and click Hope Shops real fast.
Okay.
I forgot about this. So our order swag is the first thing, and then here we have our Aortic Hope shop.myspreadshop.com.
Wow.
And it's added aprons, which is going to be pretty awesome.
Wow.
I've already asked.
Stickers?
Well, like they all have the printing and whatnot.
Okay. You know what I want? I've been asking Karen for this. So I went to go put my I got a new car and I went to go put my magnet on the back of my car, and there's nothing metal on my car.
Yeah, she was talking about that.
So I hate not having my Aortic Hope sticker on the back. So I was thinking about looking for somebody that would do the clings. You know, the plastic clings that you can put on the window.
Oh yeah. Interesting. You're right. We should probably look into that.
I would love to have those. And the thing about those is we could take those to your doctor and put them on the the little glass door that the person that greets you pushes back and forth. There's a lot of places we could put those.
Right on. We'll have to bring that up.
Yeah. I don't know exactly what they're called, but I guess they're called like clings. Like I know they're not magnetic.
Yeah, we'll
see. Okay.
It looks like our peer pressure got to Molly. She says, "Okay, Joshua, I'm working on it."
Yay.
Right?
I would love it.
Me too.
You would be great, Molly. Just pretend like you're talking to us, because when you told your story, I was so enthralled with as many stories as I've heard. Everybody's is so different, and you take something away from it. Like, I don't know what somebody would have thought about if I was out in public that day that happened to me. I don't know. So I think people would love to hear your story.
100%.
Okay. Okay, everybody. So thank you. Thanks. Was it Felicia that was also there?
Yeah, Felicia was also hanging out. She's one of our
thank you, Felicia.
We love her.
Yay. Thanks for joining us, Felicia. I do it a little bit different than Karen. I don't talk I don't talk as fast as Karen. Well, I think I'm a fast talker, but she can add so much more in than I can. But I'm happy to fill in once in a while. So thank you, everybody. We'll see you next week, next Monday. Bye.